This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to take a look at the Masterverse Vintage Collection Man-at-Arms, the heroic master of weapons. These ones are, of course, based on the original toys, so they don't have the standard Masterverse body, which is a little thinner and more realistic. Instead, they're buffed up. That being said, there isn't anything interesting on the back or the sides. However, on the back, we do have like an old-fashioned comic. Men-at-Arms and Tila scout the borders of Eternia for signs of lurking evil. And it looks like they're going up against the two characters who find the masks of evil. And our Men-at-Arms includes a swinging mace. And yeah, it does look like a little ball and chain comes out. Store battle accessories on his back. And in the rest of this wave is just Men-at-Arms, the heroic master of weapons. It also comes with a dagger, but they don't mention that. In 1982, Masters of the Universe took the world by storm with action figures that captured the imaginations of people from here to Eternia. Today, the Masterverse celebrates the original designs as modern 7-inch scale action figures with the vintage collection. By the way, we have the little accessory list, and it looks like the mace actually is in two pieces, which I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought it would be a pull-out. Alright, so let's take a look at the accessories real quick. We have the mace, as it is. Then we can pop that off, which I couldn't really do with my hands this far in front of me. And pop the other one in place, and boom, we can whack people with it. I mean, it would have been cool if they'd found a way to actually put that through. Now, what I like... Oh, that's interesting. Because it is actually the plastic chain links. But some of these chain links are actually fused together. I'm kind of wondering if the chain was 3D printed. Because, yeah, you gotta kind of unstick some of these chains here. Well, I got a couple of them unfused. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, just the way this is set up, I kind of am thinking that the chain was 3D printed. Cool. We also come with a big old dagger. It's actually a really nice design for a dagger, to be honest with you. Fits the Eternian look. We have a punching hand, and we have a slapping hand. Always got to get those slapping hands in. We do have his equipment here. It is pegged on, or well, pegged on. Yeah, I guess pegged on works. Little belts here. The wrist bracer, however, does not have the buckle, and neither does the arm guard. Honestly, I think this looks pretty nice. Although we can slide the arm guard more into its what we normally consider the proper position for it. Head sculpt. I mean, it is Man-at-Arms. So the head sculpt looks good. Very plain. He looks very young here, though, you know, when you get right down to it. Which goes more in line with the original kind of like mini stories that they did in the books. They also gave him fur trim on the sides of his thing, which again came from that original design, but wasn't made it to the toy, you know. Regular loincloth. We can put his equipment in the back here. Although I wouldn't suggest having his balls hanging out like that. Like I said, very difficult to remove that without having your hand close to the back, you know? Or having it close to you. So, let's talk articulation, shall we? Head's on a ball joint, so you can spin it all around. You can look down and can look up. Also, just a note. Oh, shit. His helmet comes off. I was going to say a note here that it looks like, you know, the bodysuit goes all the way up around his head, which seems kind of silly that they're showing any hair at all then, to be honest with you. Because I would think that would cover his hair too. But yeah, his helmet comes off. The helmet itself looks really nicely designed too. Arm hinges up and down and spins around. The harness gets a little in the way in the back. We do have a bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. My favorite. Which they keep removing from the female characters in this line, so it's kind of pissing me off. Spin up and down on the right hand, and an out on the left hand. So again, we seem to be designing the figures more to do the Sword of Law thing, as has been going on with the 2000X cartoon collection. He's got a boob cut, so he can really shake his torso. We have a spin at the waist. Leg kicks forward. The loincloth is split so that he can do that. And he can kick a little bit back, not much. But we can really go out to the sides. I also like to note they did do some shadowing on the muscles and everything. And they did a much better job on Man-at-Arms than, say, they did on He-Man, where he just kind of looked dirty. Here it just looks like it highlights it very well. Alright. We do have a boot cut still. And a double jointed knee. And, of course, the thigh cut. And the foot hinges down and up and spins around. So you can kind of do that sitting pose that the ladies do. One thing to note, his armband here does get in the way of his arm going down to his side. His belt's in the way. So actually, let's do the articulation here, because we can spin it. And we can go out, it'll just kind of push that into a different position. When we go down, though, as you can see from the two sides, you're left with a gap here because of the belting on the shoulder armor. And then, of course, like with the other one, the belting here also kind of gets in the way of getting the full range of motion from that double joint there. Also, to take note, this thing does come off. So it sits in place like that, and it'll just slide off, which, I mean, it had to be a harder plastic than the harness, which is why it's like that. But they really should have glued it in place. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a not good, in my opinion. So overall on this Man-at-Arms, I think he looks really good. I like that the helmet comes off and that you see his head there. I'm a bit confused as to why we would see any hair with that setup, but, you know, that's just me being a bit nitpicky, I guess. But it really doesn't make sense. I guess an opening in the back there if women are wearing the same bodysuit in the army. But, you know, we haven't seen any female Eternian soldiers yet, and I doubt we ever will. The face sculpt looks good. It makes him look very young compared to what we're used to seeing him with the mustache. I do like the dagger he comes with. I think it looks really good. The mace having both two tops, one that's just a plain old smack him in the head mace, and the other one with the ball at the end on a chain. is actually kind of a cool little feature. I'm glad they gave us links in the chain instead of the usual old-fashioned, it's just a soft rubber molded to kind of look like a chain, because it never moves quite right, never looks right in my opinion, and when you've got a chain weapon like that, it is nice to have it as links. And as I've done with the Michelangelos, you can take like a wire from a twist tie, thread it through the chain if you want to be able to pose it, and it kind of stays hidden a bit. Probably better though with the metal chains instead of the plastic ones, but you know. So is this guy worth it to buy? I would definitely say yes. I really like this man-at-arms. He looks great. The posability is wonderful. Although I will say this, I am kind of surprised they didn't just go ahead and give us the second head with the mustache, because I think a lot of people do like just having that mustached man-at-arms. And yes, I know this is supposed to be based on the original toy, but they did give us a modified mace for it, so no reason for them not to have given us a modified second head, you know what I mean? Especially since the helmet comes off anyway, and having a second head with that would probably been a little bit cheaper to produce than with the helmet, because you wouldn't have had to paint a second helmet either. You just would have had to paint the mustache. So I like this figure. I've been pretty much happy with almost all of the vintage collection ones overall, and they've gotten kind of creative with some of the stuff, like with Zodiac's glow-in-the-dark parts and stuff. I guess really when you get right down to it, as far as the vintage collection goes, the only thing I wasn't particularly happy with was the color of the equipment that came with Fakor. I think it would have been nice if it managed to harness, and it didn't. But why don't you guys let me know what you think about this man-at-arms in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, please feel free to smash that like button with your mace. And if you'd like to see more of my nonsense in the future, you can subscribe. I thank you for watching. Peace and love.